What if I told you there's an unseen force, something that might just be pulling your strings, influencing the choices you're making at this very moment? Seriously, think about it. Think about the little choices you've already made today, that small risk you decided to take, the route you chose to work. What if some of those decisions, those impulses, weren't entirely yours? What if something else was subtly nudging you? And look, we're not talking about psychology here or peer pressure. We're talking about a biological invader, an organism so tiny it operates completely under the radar, yet it seems to have the power to rewrite the basic rules of behavior. It has a name, Toxoplasma gondii. It's a single-celled parasite, and honestly, it's one of the most successful organisms on the entire planet. Its survival strategy? Well, it involves a level of manipulation that sounds like it was literally ripped from a science fiction novel. Now, here's the kicker. This isn't some rare, far-off infection. Not at all. It's estimated that 1/3, 1 out of every 3 humans on Earth is carrying this parasite right now. We're talking billions of people. You know, what makes this whole thing so unsettling is its stealth. For most people, there are no symptoms, no fever, no obvious illness. It just works in complete silence. And that's exactly what makes its potential influence so creepy. So, how in the world does it pull this off? Well, to really understand its potential effect on us, we first have to understand what it wants. This parasite is playing a very specific and very old game. You could call it the perfect manipulation. See, Toxoplasma can infect almost any warm-blooded animal out there, but, and this is the whole key to its existence, it can only reproduce inside a cat. So its entire life, every single evolutionary trick up its sleeve, is all about one thing: getting into a cat. And the way it does this is chillingly brilliant. Let's say it infects a rat. The parasite basically performs a kind of neurological surgery. It goes right into the fear center of the rat's brain and just flips a switch. It turns off the rat's natural, hardwired fear of cats. So now this infected rat doesn't run from the smell of a cat. It might actually be drawn to it. The rat becomes an easy meal. And for the parasite, mission accomplished. So yeah, the rat is just a stepping stone. But here's the thing. Humans can get infected too. It can happen from things like undercooked meat or even just gardening. We become what's called a dead-end host. The parasite gets inside us, but it's trapped. So what does a master manipulator do when it's stuck inside the human brain? Okay, so in rodents, the effect is dramatic, right? Fear goes poof. But in humans, it is so much sneakier. Some studies have linked infection to these really subtle changes: a tiny increase in taking risks, reaction times that are just fractions of a second slower, even a weirdly high correlation with being in traffic accidents. The changes are so small, you'd never ever notice them in yourself. But when you scale that across billions of people, well, they start to add up. Once it gets inside our body, the parasite isn't just wandering around aimlessly. It has a destination. It travels through our bloodstream and it forms these microscopic cysts in our muscles and, yep, most importantly, in our brain. And it's not just a temporary ghast. Once these little cysts are formed, they can stay in your brain for the rest of your life. Just lying there, dormant, but always present, inside the very organ that makes you, you. So how can a tiny, dormant cyst actually influence behavior? Well, research suggests it might be able to subtly change our brain chemistry. Specifically, it seems to have a way of hacking our production of dopamine. You know, the chemical messenger tied to things like motivation, reward, and pleasure. So by just tweaking our dopamine levels, it could be influencing our subconscious drive to do things, like take risks. And this is the point where the science stops being just science and starts getting really personal. Because if your brain chemistry can be influenced by another organism living inside you, it forces you to ask a pretty fundamental question. Who is really in control here? Now, let's be super clear. This is not like some zombie movie mind control. It's way, way more subtle. We're talking about a tiny, almost invisible push. That split-second decision to speed up for a yellow light, or the gut feeling that tells you to make a risky choice. It's a change so gradual, you would never even notice it happening. You could never, ever point to one single decision you've made and say, oh,
That was the parasite. Its influence is like a single drop of ink in the ocean of your life. It's impossible to spot, but it's still in there, changing the color of everything, just a little. But when you put it all together, it suggests that maybe the whole architecture of our choices isn't built by our conscious mind alone. It suggests there might be other architects at work, tiny silent passengers that are influencing the blueprints of who we are.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? The very existence of this parasite just chips away at that comfortable core idea that we are the sole authors of our own story. It introduces a variable we never even knew was in the equation, a kind of ghost in our own machine. So if our behavior, our personality, can be nudged, however slightly, by a parasite that we don't even know we have, then how much of what you call choice is really your own, and how much of you is truly you?